Egypt. And Egypt was the daughter of Ethiopia. Ethiopia was the mother of Egypt, but Ethiopia was interchangeable with Nubia and Cush. And it means in Greek, burnt skin. That's what Ethiop means and Egyptos. So the fact of the matter is, so we don't lose sight of this, that we wrote a book about Horus's death. The high priest, if I can get you a picture of the priest, they wrote a book about his death. And here they are here. The scribes, they wrote the book. Now this is taken out of the New York Museum. That the scribes...
The New York Museum?
Yes.
Wow.
They wrote a book, and the book was called, today is interpreted as the Ancient Egyptian Book of the Dead. But the book was called The Coming Forth by Day, or Per-Im Ankh, or Per-Im Heru, the book of Horus, built around Horus's life, death, and his resurrection. And it was just, and now, all of this was on December the 25th. And so that book, called The Coming Forth by Day, is the foundational basis of the Bible of Judaism that they're using today. They took their information out of that book. Christianity, they took that information out of that book.
Dr. Maulana, let's get something very clear over here. Talking about the aspect of Christmas. Everybody say, you know, almost in the Bible, you know, I don't know, it's not documented in the Bible that Jesus Christ was born on the 25th of December. But all of us, you know, right from childbirth, you know, Sunday school, they've been teaching us all.
Yeah, we have to understand
that on the 25th December, the Prince of Peace was born. But, you know, from what you are telling us right now indicates that, you know, on the 25th December,
3,000 years back, before Jesus,
something like that happened.
And the Europeans, when they came of age, you have to understand, the Greeks came before the Romans. They took this information and the transformation of a new world order, because in order, the old essence of a new world order means that there was an old world order. And who was the old world order? It was the African world. So these were new people coming on the earth, and they were trying to establish a new world order, and they could not compete with the African. This goes back to the principle of the sun, but we don't have enough time right now to talk about the sun. But let me land my point. My point is this. After the Greeks, the Romans overthrew the Greeks, and the Greeks had already started trying to make the transformation of African information and African science, African spirituality, intellectualism. They were hijacking all of that from our libraries throughout Ethiopia, Nubia, and Egypt, and taking it back to even their citizens that were there. Socrates, Plato, Sosthenes, all of them were coming to study under us.
Dr. Maulana taking us through a whole lot of things. So, I'm telling you, man, he's getting interested.
So what I'm saying, so the point in time came that Africans, when the Romans came, they said that Caesar was God. You read about in the books where the Romans were killing Christians in the north. And you have to understand, North Africa, going back 2,000, 2,500 years ago, Libya, Egypt, Tunisia, Algeria, Morocco, all of those areas were still predominantly black African, like we have in sub-Saharan Africa today. And they knew about religion. They knew about spirituality. So when these invaders came, just like invaders in Iraq and Afghanistan, the indigenous people had a movement that rose up. And it was this man, Joshua Christos. Joshua Christos in 300 AD, an Ethiopian, rose up as a revolutionary. And if you read the Bible, they say when the Romans did capture him, they captured him and charged him a political offender, because the people, black people, would never accept Romans as a god. And the whites in that area said Caesar was a god. So what they did, let me land. This is very important to understand, ladies and gentlemen. So as the Romans, who were military eyes, physical eyes, trying to bring about a new world order, they saw that the African was highly spiritual and religious. They called a conference called the Conference of Nicaea in 325 AD. And they used militarism to arrest all followers of Joshua Christos, this Jesus, black man. And they took all of our scribes and they brought them to this conference. And under duress and threat of their life, made them interpret this book of horrors, transformate that book into Roman language and create a fictitious white Jesus Christ that was based on the birth of Horus. You understand? But at the same time, Joshua Christos had become the living Christ amongst all the African people in the Nile Valley because he was revered because he come from the educational school called the mystery system. And in the mystery system, they knew so many things, like they're talking about can turn water to wine.
Dr. Maulana reasoning with us.
And so the emperor of Rome, this is important for us to understand, his name was Constantine. And 325 AD, they used, like this is the book of Horus. And they used a New Testament. And they wrote the Catholic Church Nicene Creed. The New and Old Testaments come out of that meeting or this conference of Nicaea. And the falsification of records of Horus were lifted and to fit the shoe of this new Jesus Christ that they were creating. And they did not create it for religion. They created it to conquer the world, for mind control, to control people's mind. And they knew that the African is highly spiritual. And so we always knew that there was never a man as the Son of God. We knew that the Son of God, as I told you a moment ago, this was the Son of God, S-U-N. And anybody that wants to challenge a dead white man on the cross as being the Son of God, as opposed to the S-U-N, let me put a proposition to you. If the sun goes out and stops tonight, will we have life tomorrow?
No.
But the dead man on the cross can come and they can go. But this you do not play with. And this is what the African knew. The African didn't pray to the sun. He revered the sun. And he says, like in the Bible, like in Genesis 1:27, and like also in John 14:9, he who has seen me has seen the Father. Meaning that African people, and the Greeks named us, we are people burnt skin by the sun, meaning that we are children of the sun. And so now, all of the knowledge that we had in this book that I'm telling you about, of the whole earth and the cosmos, the Romans downloaded that information at this conference of Nicaea. And they went through the procedure for at least about 3 to 6 months under duress and house arrest of black African priests, and made them interpret our mother tongue language and writing into Roman. And they created the story of Jesus Christ was born in Bethlehem when he was born in Cush. He was a Cushite black Ethiopian. And then all of the attributes of Horus. He could walk on water. He was called the Lamb of God. They attributed that to this new Jesus Christ. But let me tell you this.
Dr. Maulana.
This Ethiopian Christ was so deeply entrenched, Joshua Christos, that our people do not know. From 300 AD up to King James Version of the Bible in the 16th century, all of Europe were still worshiping a black Christ and the black Madonna that I showed you a moment ago with the baby in hand. This is what all Europe was worshiping up until the slave trade.
Dr. Maulana, because of our time, we have to end it over here. I'm telling you, ladies and gentlemen, this one is so interesting, and we need to know everything. As I told you, we will continue. Trust me, Aya. We will continue and continue and continue and continue and continue until we finish, you know, finally on the show. You understand me? Rastafari, last year, the Almighty. Next week when we come, we will talk about the fact that why do they call 25th December Christmas Day? You understand me? Why do we call 25th December Christmas Day? On 25th December, all the stars shall gather for the biggest Christmas ever event. I'm telling you, 25th December is going to be another thing altogether. All the stars in GH are going to gather and mash up a serious event. It's Ghana Movie Awards 2011. Me tell you no. So the people, they must know about it, and the people, they must know how the thing go every time. Rastafari, last year, the Almighty. Yeah, man. And as I was saying, people must gravitate serious into that, because coming 25th December is going to be another thing here in Ghana. Trust me, I am Rastafari / the Almighty. So we thank Dr. Maulana so much for coming on the show today.
Can I just make one last statement?
Because of our time. Because of our time, Dr.
They
Maulana.
stopped representing a black Jesus because the African slave trade, when they start enslaving our people in the 1503, that's when the Europeans put down the black Jesus. But they were revering the black Jesus up to the Atlantic slave trade in 1503. That's important to know.
Rastafari.
It became paradoxical.
So we give thanks and praise to the Almighty every time. As I said, make sure that this 25th December, yeah, man, you come and let's party together. Everything is going to be all right. Everything is going to be car passage. Remember that this is the reason segment on DubLegend. Keep watching.
All right, we're jamming.